It is 7:16 in the morning. I take that train to school every day as a high school student. I sat on a bench set up on the platform that day because I still had some time before boarding the 7:16 train. As I sat and waited calmly for the train, an old man sat down next to me. In his hand was a small bouquet of orange flowers. As I gazed at the bouquet, my eyes met his. "Beautiful flowers, aren't they?" he said. "It's stunning. I'm particularly fond of orange flowers." The old man happily showed me the bouquet. His sweet smile was endearing, and I quickly became friends with him, discussing a variety of topics with him. "Where are you heading?" I asked. "Now I'm going to give this bouquet to someone." "Some old, but I'm not sure if I should say this. I'm going to see someone I love," he said with a little embarrassment. I found him so charming. Upsication, I was about to ask him who he had planned to give the bouquet to, but I felt it would be impolite to ask him that, so I didn't. Then I boarded the train with him, and we arrived at the station where I was leaving. I had to say goodbye to him. I hope I see him again tomorrow at the station. If I see you again, let's chat. My name is Jack. I'm Emily. See you later, Mr. Jack. With that promise, I got off the train. I walked to the nearest station the next day to catch the 7:16 train. I went there early that day as well, giving myself some extra time. I was wondering if I would see Mr. Jack again. When I arrived at the platform, there was no one sitting at the bench. "Is he not coming today?" I thought. "Good morning, Emily. I'm glad to see you again today, Mr. Jack. Are you going to give it to the same person today?" "That's right," he responded with the same happy expression he had yesterday. "Why the orange bouquet?" he asked. "She's always liked the color orange. She's very attractive. I get along well with her, and she does as well," Mr. Jack said, starting to brag about his girlfriend a little bit. "That person must mean a lot to you," I said. "I'm excited to meet someone like that as well." "Yes, she's really important to me," he replied. "Don't worry, there's no need to rush, Emily," he added with a smile. I was still young and had plenty of time to find someone important. I was envious when I heard Mr. Jack's story. I was also curious about the person he loved. After that, it became our routine to chat until the 7:16 train arrived. We talked about many things such as Mr. Jack's background, my issues, his back pain, and our stories. However, such a pleasant time suddenly ended. Mr. Jack stopped coming to the nearest station. I kept waiting for him. Every day, I left the house early and dashed to the nearest station, but he was nowhere to be found on the platform bench. Instead of waiting on the platform, I waited at the stairs of the nearest station one day. Then a middle-aged man approached me who I didn't recognize.
So are you Emily?
He caught me by surprise. How did he know my name? I got scared and tried to run away from him. He said, "I am Jack's son." I was surprised when he said so, referring to Mr. Jack. "Actually, my dad has been ill for several months now and is in the hospital. He's not in good health, and to be honest, I don't know how long he'll live." When he said that, my mind went blank. Mr. Jack never told me something like that. Jack's son continued, "Emily, you don't have to wait for me any longer. That's what my dad asked me to tell you. And I've been looking for you for a long time." I cried partly because of my sadness, but most importantly because of my frustration and disappointment at not realizing Mr. Jack was in such a difficult situation. I couldn't stop crying. If it's possible, could you visit my dad? He's been wanting to see you for a long time. Please, I want to meet Mr. Jack too. At that day after school, I went to the hospital where Mr. Jack was hospitalized. That's passional. This is my dad's room. He had an exam earlier, so he could be tired and sleeping. It's okay. Mr. Jack looked very frail and different from usual. He appeared to be thin with sunken cheeks. It was painful and hard for me. I sat on the chair next to his bed and waited for him to wake up. After a while, Mr. Jack looked at me with a surprised look on his face. I came here because I wanted to see you.
He came all this way.
I'm so happy. I missed you too. Actually, Mr. Jack and I took each other's hands, and we both cried. I kept crying.
Thank you very much for making the effort to come all the way out here to see me, and I apologize for not being able to see you.
It's no need to apologize. All that matters to me is that I'm happy to see you again like this. We had a lot of catching up to do. We had a good time for the first time in a long time.
As Mr. Jack was laughing,
I was laughing a lot and I was really happy.
Then Mr. Jack taught me something.
Please allow me to explain something that has been bothering you, Emily. It's about the person I was giving the bouquet to. Mr. Jack had noticed what I was most concerned about. She's my wife. It's not like we live apart. She died of cancer about 10 years ago, but I never gave her a bouquet when she was still alive. I finally realized how important she was to me after she died. That's why I went to my wife's cemetery every day to deliver flowers. Mr. Jack took the train early every morning to visit his wife's cemetery to deliver a bouquet. I burst into tears again. I couldn't stop crying because of Mr. Jack's love for his wife and his kindness to her. While I was crying, Mr. Jack kept petting my head with that same kind smile. When it was time for me to leave, I appreciate everything you did today. My dad was happy for the first time in a long time, so I was happy as well. Mr. Jack's son told me that I apologized for dropping by on him so unexpectedly. When I replied, his son thanked me repeatedly, but then I heard the truth that sent me to the bottom. My dad doesn't have much time left. They recently informed him that he only has a few days to live and that he could pass away at any moment. I was shocked and didn't want to believe it, so I ran out of the hospital as fast as I could, desperately trying to escape that reality. Why, Mr. Jackson? Why is this happening to such a kind man? It's too soon. Why? When I got home, I stayed in my room for a long time. I thought about what I could do for Mr. Jackson. As a result, I came up with an idea. I went to the hospital to see him again. I decided to tell him about the pleasant events of the day. I wanted him to smile and get better, even if just a little. Whenever I had time, I went to the hospital and told Mr. Jackson many things. But those days came to an end. His son called to tell me that Mr. Jackson was already in critical condition, so I rushed to the hospital. He had already passed away when I arrived at the hospital and entered his room. I broke down in tears. Some memories of Mr. Jackson, and everything we had discussed flooded my mind. Well, to me, Mr. Jackson was an important person. Despite the fact that we are not blood relatives and have not known each other for a long time, we felt something more. He was truly invaluable to me. I still take the 7:16 train to school. Sometimes I leave early and sit on a bench until the train arrives. I suddenly recall Mr. Jackson's timid smile. At such times, I look over to the empty seat next to me on the bench. I remember his kindness and feel a warmth in my heart.